first time my mother called me the strong one, I was sitting beside my grandmother's hospital bed. My grandmother couldn't speak anymore. Her breathing was shallow, and every few seconds the monitor beside her bed made a soft electronic sound. My mother stood near the window with her arms crossed. "You know what I love about Emma?" she said to my aunt. "She never complains." I remember looking at her. I was 31 years old. I'd spent the previous 6 months driving my grandmother to appointments, managing her medications, paying bills when my parents forgot, and sleeping on a folding chair beside her hospital bed. Whenever she was too weak to stay alone, I thought my mother's words meant she was proud of me. I didn't realize she was describing the reason everyone in my family felt entitled to use me. My grandmother died 11 days later. Before she closed her eyes for the last time, she squeezed my hand. Then she whispered 4 words. "And don't let them take it." I didn't understand what she meant. Not then. 3 months later I would, because my parents gave my grandmother's $300,000 house to my younger brother. And when I objected, my mother looked directly at me and said, "You already have enough." That sentence changed everything. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten anyone. I simply stopped paying. And within 6 weeks, the family that had spent years calling me selfish for protecting myself discovered exactly how much of their comfortable life had been built on my money. My name is Emma Carter. I'm 34 years old. For most of my life, my younger brother Tyler was the person everyone protected. Tyler was 4 years younger than me. When we were children, he was the funny one, the charming one, the one who could break a lamp and somehow convince my parents the lamp had been broken. Before he touched it, I was the responsible one. If Mom needed help organizing the house, she called me. If Dad couldn't figure out a computer, he called me. If Tyler forgot homework, I reminded him. If Tyler lost something, I found it. If Tyler got into trouble, I explained it away. As we grew older, the pattern never changed. I got my first job at 19. Tyler spent his first year after high school trying different jobs and quitting them. I went to college while working part-time. Tyler decided college wasn't for him. I graduated with student loans. Tyler moved back into my parents' basement. At 25, I rented my first apartment. Tyler was still living at home. At 29, I bought a small house. My parents told everyone how proud they were. But 5 minutes later, my mother asked if I could help Tyler with his car payment. That was my family. My accomplishments were celebrated for approximately 5 minutes. Then they became resources. My grandmother, Evelyn Carter, was the only person who saw the pattern. She lived in a 2-story brick house on Willow Street. It wasn't enormous, but it was beautiful. 3 bedrooms, a small sunroom, a white porch, a backyard with an old maple tree. She had lived there for almost 40 years. When I was little, I spent nearly every weekend there. Grandma taught me how to make pancakes. She taught me how to sew a button. She taught me how to balance a checkbook. And when I was 16, she taught me something my parents never did. She taught me that saying no didn't make you a bad person. You have to learn the difference between helping someone and carrying them. She told me one afternoon. I laughed. What if they're family? She looked at me over her glasses. Especially if they're family. I didn't understand. Not then. When Grandma became sick, I became her primary caregiver. My mother promised she would help. She didn't. My father said his work schedule was complicated. Tyler said he was not good around hospitals. So I went. Every appointment. Every treatment. Every pharmacy run. Every night she couldn't sleep. One evening, I was helping her organize a stack of old papers when she stopped me. "Emma." "Yeah." "Put that down." I looked at her. She pointed toward the wooden desk beside the window. "There is something in the bottom drawer." I opened it. Inside was a folder. "What's this?" "Something you don't need to worry about yet." I smiled. "You always say that." She smiled back. "Because you're always worrying about things that aren't yours." I opened the folder. There were property documents, bank records, a trust agreement, and a letter. I started reading the first page. Then Grandma reached over and closed the folder. "Not yet." "When?" "When you need to know." I frowned. "Why are you being mysterious?" "Because your mother has always been very interested in this house." I looked at her. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer. Instead, she said, "Promise me something." "What?" "If anyone tells you I left this house to Tyler, don't believe them." My heart skipped. Why would anyone say that? She looked toward the window. Because people sometimes tell the truth only when it benefits them. I didn't know what to say, so I simply nodded. "Okay." She squeezed my hand. Good. 11 days later, she died. The funeral was beautiful. Hundreds of people came. Neighbors, friends, church members, former co-workers, family. My mother cried the loudest. My father looked devastated. Tyler stood beside them in a dark suit. I stood near the casket and couldn't stop staring at Grandma's hands. They looked smaller than I remembered. I kept thinking about her last words. Don't let them take it. But I still didn't know what it meant. 3 weeks after the funeral, my parents called me. Come over Sunday, Mom said. Why? We need to discuss Grandma's estate. That made sense. I assumed we would divide her belongings, furniture, jewelry, photographs, maybe some money. I never imagined what was waiting for me. When I arrived Sunday afternoon, Tyler's car was already in the driveway. So was my Aunt Diane's. I walked inside. My mother was carrying a tray of food. My father was standing near the fireplace. Tyler was smiling. Yeah, too much. What's going on? Mom hugged me. We're celebrating. Celebrating what? Tyler walked over. You'll see. I looked at my father. He avoided my eyes. That was the first warning. My father had never been good at lying. My mother was... We sat around the dining table. Mom poured everyone wine. I didn't drink. What are we celebrating? She smiled. Your brother is finally getting a fresh start. Tyler laughed. Oh, Mom. She looked proud. Then my father placed a document on the table. We've decided Tyler will be taking over Grandma's house. I stared at him. Taking over? It's been agreed. By who? My mother answered. By the family. I looked at Tyler. You wanted the house? He shrugged. I didn't know I wanted it until Mom suggested it. I looked back at my mother. What about Grandma's wishes? She sighed. Emma, your grandmother was sick. My chest tightened. She knew exactly what she was doing. Not always. My mother folded her hands. She was confused toward the end. I felt something cold move through me. That's not true. Don't start. I was with her. We all loved her. No. I looked directly at my mother. You visited her twice in the last 3 months. The room became silent. My mother stared at me. Tyler shifted in his chair. Dad cleared his throat. That's not relevant. It is to me. My mother leaned forward. Emma, listen. Tyler needs the house more than you do. I almost laughed. Why? You have your own house? Yeah. You have savings? Yeah. You have a stable career? Yeah. So? She shrugged. So your brother deserves an opportunity. I looked at Tyler. An opportunity worth $300,000? He didn't answer. My mother did. It's not about the money. I looked at her. Then why does he get the house? She became irritated. Because he's family. I felt something inside me go completely still. I had spent 6 years paying his bills because he was family. And now I was being told that same word was the reason he deserved what Grandma had intended for me. I stood. Okay. My mother looked surprised. Okay? I nodded. Congratulations. Tyler smiled. Thanks. I picked up my purse. Mom frowned. Where are you going? Home. Don't be dramatic. I'm not. I walked toward the door. Then my mother called after me. Emma. I stopped. You're not going to make this about money, are you? I turned around. No. She smiled. Good. I looked at her. Whilst I'm going to make it about boundaries. Then I left. I didn't cry in the car. I didn't cry when I got home. I didn't cry when I made dinner. I waited until 10:30 that night. Then I opened my banking app, and I started looking. For 6 years, I had never asked how much I'd given my family. I didn't want to know. That night, I wanted to know everything. I downloaded 6 years of statements. Then I opened a spreadsheet. The first year was $8,900. The second was $11,400. The third was $14,700. The fourth was $16,300. The fifth was $8,900. The sixth was $17,200. I stared at the total. $400. $87,400. I had given my family nearly $90,000. And that didn't include groceries, or Christmas gifts, or trips, or things I'd bought because I knew they couldn't afford them. I looked at the screen. Then I noticed something. One of the larger transfers was labeled Tyler. Emergency. I opened the receipt. It had been $6,800. I'd forgotten what it was for. I searched my email. A message from Tyler appeared. Thanks, Em. I'll get you back next month. He never had. Another transfer. $4,200. another 3,700, another 2,100 dollars. I kept scrolling. Then I found something that made me stop. A recurring payment every month for 4 years. My mother's household expenses, electricity, internet, insurance, water, meat, phone. I had been paying them automatically. My mother had never mentioned it. She simply assumed the payments would continue. I leaned back in my chair, and for the first time, I understood. They weren't asking me for help anymore. They had built their budget around my help. That was different. The next morning, I called the bank. Good morning. I need to remove several recurring payments. The representative asked which ones. I read them. My mother's electricity, my father's insurance, Tyler's phone, my parents' internet, 2 credit card auto payments, a storage unit, a car insurance policy. Then I said, "That's everything." The representative paused. "Are you sure?" Yeah. Okay. I hung up. Then I called the insurance company, then the phone company, then the utility company. One by one, I removed myself. No threats, no angry messages, no announcement. "Just gone." My mother called that evening. "Emma." "Hi. Did you cancel the electricity payment?" Yeah. There was silence. "Why?" "Because it's your bill." "You've always paid it?" "I know." "Then why stop?" I looked at the clock. "Because I don't want to anymore." She became angry. "You're being petty." "No. You're doing this because of the house." "I'm doing this because I finally looked at my life." "What does that mean?" "It means I can't keep paying for people who don't respect me." She laughed bitterly. "Oh, please." "We gave Tyler the house. You still have your own." "I know." "Then why are you acting like we've taken everything from you?" I answered quietly. "Because you didn't just take a house." "What?" "You took the last thing I was willing to believe about this family." She didn't respond. Then she said, "Your grandmother wouldn't want you behaving this way." I closed my eyes. Don't use Grandma to manipulate me." "What did you say?" "Goodbye, Mom." I ended the call. The first week was quiet. Then the problem started. My father called. His insurance payment had failed. "Emma, what happened?" I removed the card. "You can't do that without telling us." "I did." "Why?" "Because it's not my account." "You've always helped." Yeah. "So what's changed?" "I'm me." He didn't know what to say. Then Tyler called. His phone had been disconnected. "You seriously cut my phone off?" I removed my card. "You could have warned me. You could have paid your own bill." "I'm looking for work." "You've been looking for work for 3 years. That isn't fair." "No." I looked out the window. "It isn't." 2 weeks later, my Aunt Diane called. "I think you're hurting your parents." I smiled. "They're adults. Family should help family." I asked her, "How much have you helped them?" Silence. "That's not the point." "It is to me." She sighed. "Your mother says you're angry." "I am." "At Tyler?" "No." "At the house?" "No." "Then what?" I answered, "I'm angry that everyone expected me to sacrifice without ever asking whether I wanted to." She became quiet. Then she said, "You've always been the strong one." I laughed. "That's the problem." 3 weeks after the family meeting, I finally opened Grandma's folder. I spread the papers across my dining table. The first document was a trust agreement. The second was a property record. The third was a letter. My hands started shaking before I finished reading the first paragraph. The house had been placed into a trust. I was the sole beneficiary. My grandmother had signed the documents 14 months before her death. The trustee was an attorney named Daniel Reeves. My parents weren't beneficiaries. Tyler wasn't a beneficiary. The house wasn't theirs to give away. I sat there in silence. Then I remembered Grandma's words. "If anyone tells you I left this house to Tyler, don't believe them." I picked up my phone. I called the attorney. He answered on the 4th ring. "Ms. Carter?" Yeah. "This is Daniel Reeves. I found the documents." There was a pause. "I wondered when you would." My heart raced. My parents said the house was being transferred to Tyler. "They can't transfer it." "I know." Another pause. "Do they know that?" I asked. He sighed. Yeah. My stomach dropped. "What?" "Your mother contacted my office 6 months ago." "About the house?" Yeah. "What did she ask?" "She wanted to know if there was a legal way to remove the you as beneficiary." I closed my eyes. "She knew?" "She knew." I whispered, "Why didn't you tell me?" Your grandmother specifically instructed me not to interfere unless someone attempted to remove you from the property. She knew this would happen. Yeah. I looked at the letter on my table. Can you send me everything? I can. Please do. Then he said something that made me sit upright. There is another document you need to see. What document? Your grandmother's final instruction. The document arrived that afternoon. It was only 2 pages. At the top was Grandma's handwriting. Emma is not responsible for supporting any member of this family after my death. I read it again, then again. Below that was a typed statement. She had instructed the trustee to preserve the property for me. But there was another section. It concerned the money. Grandma had discovered that my parents had been using my financial support to cover their household expenses. She had apparently noticed the pattern years earlier. She had even written, "They will call Emma selfish when she stops." I started crying. She knew. She had seen everything. Then I found the final page. It was a handwritten letter. Emma, you are going to think this is about a house. It isn't. The house is only a building. What I am leaving you is a place where you can finally stop proving that you are useful. Your mother will tell you that Tyler needs it. Your father will tell you that keeping the peace matters. Tyler will tell you that you already have enough. Listen carefully. You are not responsible for making other adults comfortable. If they love you, they will eventually understand. If they don't, then at least you will know the truth. Never confuse being needed with being loved. I put the letter down. That sentence broke something open inside me, because I suddenly realized how much of my life had been built around being needed. I called Daniel the next morning. I want to move into the house. You can. What about my parents? They have no legal right to stop you. What if they refuse to leave? Then we handle it legally. I hesitated. I don't want to destroy them. Daniel's voice softened. Emma, enforcing your rights isn't destroying anyone. I knew he was right. But knowing something and feeling ready for it are different things. The confrontation happened on a Saturday. I arrived at Grandma's house with Daniel and the trustee. My parents were there. Tyler was there. They were painting the living room. I stood in the doorway. My mother froze. What are you doing here? I held up the folder. I'm moving in. Tyler laughed. You're serious? Yeah. Mom looked at Daniel. Who is this? Daniel Reeves. Her face changed. She knew him. You can't do this. Daniel answered calmly. She can. Dad stepped forward. This is a family matter. No, Daniel said. It is a legal matter. He placed the trust documents on the table. The property belongs to Emma. Mom grabbed the papers. No. She flipped through them. No, this isn't right. It is. This isn't what we agreed. Daniel looked at her. You were never asked to agree. My mother stared at him. Then at me. You knew? I know now. You've been planning this? No. I looked around the house. I've been trying to understand why my family lied to me. Tyler stepped forward. Mom told me Grandma wanted me to have this. I looked at him. Did she? He looked away. I thought so. You never asked Grandma. She was sick. So was I. He looked at me. What? I was taking care of her. He didn't answer. I turned toward my mother. You knew the house belonged to me. She started crying. I was trying to help your brother. You were willing to lie to me to do it. He needed a home. He needed responsibility. He's your brother, and I'm your daughter. She became silent. Dad finally spoke. Emma, please. I looked at him. Please what? Don't make this worse. I laughed softly. You already did. Then Daniel placed another document on the table. My mother looked at it. What is that? Your correspondence with our office. She went completely still. You requested information about transferring the property to Tyler. Dad turned toward her. You did what? She started crying. I was trying to make sure he had something. You knew it wasn't yours. She didn't answer. Tyler stared at her. Mom? She whispered. I thought we could fix it. You lied to me? I didn't mean... You told me Grandma gave me the house. Mom began sobbing. Tyler looked at me. I didn't know. I believe you. He looked surprised. You do? Yeah. Then you're not angry with me? I paused. I am. His face fell. But I'm more angry that nobody ever taught you that other people's sacrifice isn't your inheritance. He nodded slowly. Dad sat down. He looked exhausted. Then he said something unexpected. I knew. My mother looked at him. Frank. He shook his head. I'm tired of lying. I stared at him. You knew? Yeah. How long? Months. Why didn't you tell me? He looked at his hands. Because I was afraid. Of Mom? He nodded. Of losing the family? I almost laughed. You were willing to lose me. He looked up. I know. That was the first time my father cried in front of me. I didn't hug him. Not yet. Some wounds don't disappear because someone finally admits they exist. The legal issue involving the house was settled within 2 weeks. The trust was valid. The property belonged to me. My parents had no legal claim, but the financial investigation was more complicated. Daniel had noticed something else. The bank records I'd given him showed payments from my account that I didn't remember authorizing. We went through them, one transfer, then another, then another. The payments had been made using an authorization I had signed years earlier when helping my mother refinance a loan. I had given her permission to access one account for a specific purpose. She had apparently continued using the authorization afterward. The total was nearly $20,000. Daniel looked at me. This is serious. I felt sick. What should I do? Report it. I stared at the paperwork. She is my mother. I know. I don't want her arrested. You're not deciding the punishment. I closed my eyes. I just want it to stop. Then let the process stop it. I reported it. The investigation lasted 5 months. My mother eventually admitted using the account. She said she believed I would have agreed if I'd known. That sentence almost made me laugh, because that was exactly the problem. They had stopped asking. They had simply decided I would say yes. My father wasn't charged with anything, but he admitted he knew about the unauthorized payments. Tyler wasn't involved. For the first time, I saw the family clearly. My mother had controlled. My father had avoided. Tyler had benefited. And I had enabled all three by constantly rescuing everyone. That realization hurt, but it also freed me. I moved into Grandma's house 6 months after her death. The first night was strange. Every room reminded me of her. The kitchen smelled like old wood and cinnamon. The hallway still had the little marks she had made on the wall to measure my height. The sunroom had her favorite chair. I sat in it. For the first time in months, I allowed myself to cry. Not because I had won, because I missed her. I whispered, I understand now. The house was never the prize. The choice was, she had given me permission to choose my own life. 1 year later, Tyler came to visit. He didn't ask for money. That surprised me. He stood on the porch. Can I come in? I nodded. We sat in the kitchen. He looked different. Older, more responsible. I got a job, he said. I heard. I've been there 8 months. That's good. He smiled. I'm paying my own bills. I know. How? A mom told me. He looked down. I owe you an apology. I didn't interrupt. I thought you were lucky. I looked at him. What? I thought because you had a house and a good job, your life was easy. I smiled sadly. Most people think that. I didn't see what you were doing. No. I should have. Yeah. He nodded. I don't expect you to forgive me. I already have. He looked surprised. But things aren't going back to how they were. I know. He took a breath. That's okay. For the first time, I believed him. My father came 6 months later. He brought an old cardboard box. What's this? For your grandmother's things? I opened it. Inside were photographs. My childhood. Tyler's childhood. Christmas mornings. School plays. Family vacations. Then I found one photograph of Grandma sitting on the porch. She was smiling. Behind her was the maple tree. I held it carefully. Dad sat across from me. She wanted you to have this. I know. He looked at me. I'm sorry. I didn't answer immediately. Then I said, I forgive you. He started crying. But I need you to understand something. He nodded. I won't ever be the person who fixes everything again. I understand. If someone has a problem, they have to solve it. I know. If someone needs help, they can ask. He nodded. But asking doesn't mean I'll say yes. He smiled through his tears. That's fair. It was the first healthy conversation we'd ever had. My mother was different. She sent letters. Many of them, some angry, some apologetic, some confused. She wrote that she missed me. She wrote that she was ashamed. She wrote that she didn't understand how everything had fallen apart. I read every letter. I answered only one. I wrote, Mom, I don't hate you. I don't want revenge. I don't want you to suffer. But I also don't want to return to the life where your comfort depends on my sacrifice. I hope someday you understand that those two things can exist at the same time. I can love you from a distance. I can forgive you without giving you control over my life. And I can wish you well without becoming responsible for what happens next. I mailed it. She never answered. That was okay. 3 years after Grandma's death, I renovated the house. Not completely. I kept the kitchen. I kept the porch. I kept her old desk. But I converted the spare bedroom into a small office. I started a financial coaching service for women who were struggling with family pressure and money. I didn't plan it. It happened naturally. Friends started asking me how I had learned to set boundaries. Then coworkers. Then strangers. I started speaking at community events. The message was always the same. Helping someone is a choice. It isn't a contract. And love isn't measured by how much you are willing to lose. One evening, I was sitting on the porch when I received an unexpected email. It was from a woman I'd never met. She wrote, "I heard you speak last week." I cried through the entire thing. My family has convinced me that I'm selfish because I stopped paying my brother's rent. Tonight, for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. Thank you. I stared at the screen. Then I looked toward Grandma's old chair, and I smiled. She had wanted me to understand that the house wasn't the gift. The lesson was, people sometimes ask whether I regret what happened. I don't. Do I wish my family had treated me differently? Of course. Do I wish my mother had respected Grandma's wishes? Yes. Do I wish Tyler had grown up understanding that being loved doesn't mean being rescued? Absolutely. But regret isn't the same as wanting the past back. I don't want the past back. Because in the past, I was constantly waiting for someone to notice how much I gave. Now I don't give to be noticed. I give when I choose to. I help when I genuinely want to. And I walk away when something costs me more than I'm willing to pay. That's freedom. Sometimes I still sit on the porch at sunset. The maple tree is older now. The paint on the railing has faded. The house isn't worth $300,000 to me anymore. It's worth much more, because it's the place where I finally learned that I don't have to earn my right to exist. My mother once told me, "You already have enough." She was talking about money. She was talking about my house. She was talking about the life I'd built. But she was wrong. I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough boundaries. I didn't have enough courage to say no. I didn't have enough understanding of my own worth. So when my family tried to take the one thing my grandmother had deliberately left me, they accidentally gave me the courage to stop giving away everything else. They thought the house would make Tyler independent. Instead, losing my financial support forced him to become independent. They thought taking the house would make me bitter. Instead, it made me free. They thought I would fight them. I didn't. I simply stopped participating. And that was enough. Because sometimes the strongest revenge isn't destroying the people who hurt you. Sometimes it's becoming completely unnecessary to them. My grandmother once told me, "Never confuse being needed with being loved." I didn't understand her then. I do now. I was needed for money, or for emergencies, for solutions, for silence, for forgiveness, for everything. But the moment I stopped providing those things, I discovered who actually loved me, and who had simply loved what I could do for them. The house stayed with me. The money I stopped giving stayed with me. My peace stayed with me. And most importantly, I stayed with myself. That was the one thing my family had never expected me to choose.